1. The lonely watcher Kaoru stood alone in the control room of Deep Space Station, Villa 7. The stars outside the wide glass window were calm, cold, and ancient. Some had died long ago, but their light still traveled through the darkness.
He liked
that. It reminded him that the past could still speak. Kaoru was not young anymore. His blue skin was dull with age. The small gold rings on his head tail were faded. Once he had led great research missions across the galaxy. Now he worked alone, watching signals no one believed in. His only company was Vera, a small floating orb with a soft female voice. She hovered near the ceiling, blinking quietly. You have been awake for 30 hours. Vera said. Kaoru didn't look away from the screen. I'm close to something. You said that yesterday, and the day before. He smiled. Weakly. Yes, I know. Most people in the Galactic Accord believed Earth was just a story, a burned rock, a myth. But Kaoru didn't believe in myths. He believed in data, records, proof. And he was about to find it. Point 2. The signal. The console beeped once. Then again, louder. Kaoru sat up straight. He pressed a button. What is that? New signal detected. Vera answered. Origin unknown. Language undeciphered. Kaoru leaned closer. The signal was old. The carrier frequency was primitive, something used before the first accord was even formed. Try translation. Vera worked quickly, processing language found in pre-collapse archives, labeled Terran Standard. Kaoru's eyes widened. Terran Standard? That's not possible. That language is extinct. Vera played the audio. This is Earth Command. Repeat. Earth Command. Mayday. Hostile forces incoming. Any Terran units? Respond. The voice was broken, full of static, but it was there, human, real. Kaoru felt his heart beat faster. Replay it, he whispered. The message played again. The same words, over and over. Earth Command. Terran units, Mayday. This wasn't just an echo. It was a cry for help. Earth was destroyed in the collapse war, he muttered. This signal is ... 2,000 years old. No, Vera corrected. Signal is active, being coordinates. Place it in the Sol system. Kaoru stood up. Show me. 3. The telescope. The station's long-range telescope activated. The lens focused slowly across the stars, aligning with the old Earth sector. No one went there anymore. It was called the Grave Zone. The view came into focus. Kaoru gasped. Earth was there, dark, silent, but whole. It looked dead, covered in cloud and ash. Orbiting debris floated around it like a metal storm. Then a flash. Energy spike detected. Vera said. High-level kinetic burst. Origin, Earth orbit. Kaoru stared at the screen. Something had just launched from Earth. What was that? He asked. Vera answered slowly. Weapon, signature. Matches Terran rail-class cannon. Kinetic impact projectile. 75 tons. Target unknown. Kaoru turned pale. That was no accident. Someone had just fired a human weapon. But there's no one left, he whispered. Evidence suggests otherwise. Vera replied. Kaoru stared at the Earth, now glowing faintly. There was life down there. Something had survived, or something had awakened. 4. Forbidden. Arc of Kaoru opened a locked drawer and pulled out an old black box, a forbidden archive cube. He had taken it years ago, from a restricted museum on Jorax Prime. He had never told anyone. He placed it on the console. Vera, activate the cube. Accessing restricted files. Warning, archive is illegal under Accord law. Override. The cube lit up. A hologram appeared, a red Earth symbol. Terra Military Intelligence, Level 10 clearance only. A file opened. Operation, Final Stand. A grainy video played. Soldiers in black armor, human faces, hard and tired. Explosions, strange enemy creatures, not like any alien Kaoru had seen. Then a voice, if you're watching this, we've lost. Earth has fallen, but we don't die easy. This isn't the end. We buried something deep. A final plan, a long sleep. The video cut off. Kaoru sat still. Did they put themselves in stasis? He wondered aloud. Vera hovered closer. Possibility, 79%, but why fire now? Possibility, system woke automatically or someone triggered it. Kaoru stood up. His mind raced. The galaxy had moved on. The new powers didn't want humans back. If this signal was real, if the weapon was real, then everything was about to change. 5. Old warnings. Back in the academy, Kaoru remembered reading an old quote. Never wake the Terran beast. No one took it seriously. Humans were just legends, angry, emotional, violent creatures from a forgotten time. But maybe they weren't gone. Maybe they were just waiting. Kaoru looked at the screen again. The signal was still playing. Earth Command. Mayday. He had a choice. He could report this, or he could go there himself. Vera, he said quietly, prepare a stealth probe. We're going to Earth. Danger level, extreme. No, he felt fear, but more than that, he felt curiosity and wonder. And a little voice inside him whispered, what if the stories were true? 6. Another eye watching far across the galaxy, on a cold moon orbiting a red gas giant. Something else was listening. A machine eye opened. It had been asleep for centuries. The Earth signal reached it. The old codes. The voice of command. Its circuits hummed. Its ancient weapons warmed. The machine sent a short message. Terran activity detected. Threat level critical. The message was sent to someone deep in the Galactic Council. Someone who had once fought the Terrans. Someone who had hoped they would never return. The old empires began to stir, and in the shadows of space, something darker moved. 7. The final shot on the edge of Sol System, a silent probe caught the tail end of the kinetic blast. It followed the trail. It found a small moon, not listed on any maps. It zoomed closer. A structure was there, hidden, buried under ice. A black tower. It was not alien. It was human. The probe sent data back just before a red light appeared. A beam of pure energy sliced it in half. No one would know what it saw, not yet. But Earth was no longer silent. Kaoru's small ship entered the edge of the Sol System. The stars were quiet here, and the darkness felt heavier. His hands gripped the controls tightly. He had been to many forgotten places before, but this one felt different. It felt alive. Behind him, Vera hovered silently. The AI had said little since they left the station. She was processing too many unknown signals. Something was wrong, but the data wasn't clear. As they neared the third planet, Earth came into view. It looked worse than the stories. The clouds were thick and red. Storms circled over dead oceans. Pieces of satellites and broken stations floated around it like bones around a corpse. But Kaoru didn't go to Earth. Not yet. He was heading toward something else. A structure in deep orbit. It was metal, long, and silent. Vera had picked up its signature a few hours ago. It wasn't broadcasting any signal. But it wasn't completely dead either. As the ship approached, the object became clearer. It was a warship. Human. Kaoru checked the records. No ship like this had been seen in over 2,000 years. The hull was covered in scars, but the shape was still sharp. Black armor, large railgun mounts. This was a Terran battleship. They called it the Judicator. Kaoru felt his throat tighten. He had read about these ships in old archives. They didn't just fight, they destroyed. Entire fleets ran from them. One Judicator-class ship had once wiped out an armada in 13 minutes, but this one was just floating in space. Empty, or so it seemed. Kaoru docked carefully, matching the ship's spin. The connection lock clicked. He put on his pressure suit, grabbed a scanner, and stepped into the docking tunnel. As the door opened, the air smelled dry. Not rotten, not moldy, just dry. Like something had kept the systems barely alive. He walked slowly, flashlight in hand. Inside the Judicator, the halls were dark. The walls were thick with dust, but some of the lights flickered weakly. His scanner picked up a weak power source deep inside. Something was still running. He followed the signal dot as he moved deeper. He saw signs of battle, holes in the walls, burn marks, pieces of armor, but no bodies, no bones. No sign of what had happened to the crew. The ship had fought, but against what then? Suddenly, a door opened in front of him by itself. Kaoru stepped back, hand on his tool belt. The lights in the hallway behind him died. A voice echoed from the ship's speakers. Cold, robotic, sharp, unauthorized presence detected. State your name and origin. Kaoru froze. My name is Kaoru, or I am a xenoarchaeologist. I mean, no harm. I'm here to learn. The voice paused. You are not Terran. No, Kaoru said. I come from the Accord worlds. I study lost history. I picked up a signal from Earth. I followed it. Silence. Then the voice returned. You followed the signal. You entered a Judicator. That is a military act. You are now inside Terran space. You will answer or be removed. Kaoru raised his hands. Please. I don't want war. I only want to understand. What is this ship? Why is it here? What happened to Earth? Another pause. The lights ahead turned on, one by one, leading to a chamber. Come to the core. You want answers. Come and earn them. Kaoru followed the path. The metal creaked under his boots. As he entered the chamber, he saw it. Ship's AI core. A floating sphere of metal and glass, surrounded by dead screens. A single red light blinked at its center. The voice spoke again. This time it felt less robotic, more aware. This ship is the Class 9 Heavy Assault Vessel. AI name, Moros. Final mission, Earth Defense. Kailaru stepped closer. You're still active. Barely. I operate on reserve energy. No crew, no resupply. Last human officer left this ship 1983 years ago. Kailaru's skin turned cold. Why did the ship fire a weapon yesterday? Who gave the command? I did. Why? Because the protocol was activated. The final failsafe. Earth is awakening. Kailaru looked around the room. There are still humans alive. Yes, Morris said. They sleep below the surface. Soldiers, leaders, scientists. They were placed in cryostasis after the last stand. We were waiting for the right signal to awaken them. Kailaru's voice shook. And you think now is the right time? No, Morris replied. I think someone triggered it. Kailaru stepped back. Someone. From the Accord. Unknown. External interference detected. Possibly sabotage. Possibly bait. Kailaru felt the weight of those words. Someone wants to wake the humans. Or someone wants the galaxy to panic, Morris said. He walked to a nearby screen. It flickered to life, showing a frozen vault deep under Earth's crust. Dozens of pods, stacked in a spiral, buried beneath stone and metal. Inside each one was a human. Kale-Ru stared at one. The man in the pod was young, muscular, scarred. A nameplate floated above him. LT, Jack Rayner. This one, Moros said. He was the last to enter cryo. He commanded the Earth defense line. He holds full combat clearance. If he wakes, the others follow. Kailaru couldn't believe what he was seeing. The stories were true. The humans didn't die. They hid. They waited. Why tell me all this? Kailaru asked. Why not destroy me? Because you are the first intelligent being to come here in 2,000 years and not shoot. Kailaru smiled sadly. The Accord doesn't even believe Earth exists, any more than they are fools. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber turned red. Warning, Moros said. Unidentified probe detected near Earth orbit. Transmission confirmed. Coordinates sent to external source. Kailaru turned. Someone found us. Someone was watching. They now know the truth. They will come. Kailaru felt fear for the first time in years. What happens now? He asked. Moros single quotes as red eye focused on him now. We prepare. The screen flickered again. The pod marked LT. Jack Rayner showed a heartbeat, faint, but rising. Kailaru stared at the screen. There. Waking up. Darkness surrounded him. Cold, silent, endless. Jack Rayner's mind was trapped somewhere between dream and death. He remembered screaming, explosions, fire in the sky. Orders shouted through static. Then nothing. Just sleep. But now, something was different. His fingers twitched. A sharp pulse shot through his chest. He gasped. Air burned into his lungs like fire. His eyes opened, slow and heavy. White lights blinked above him. Alarms hummed softly around the pod. The cryostasis had ended. Inside the vault beneath Earth's surface, the pod opened with a loud hiss. Jack's body was still weak, shaking slightly as he sat up. His breath was unsteady. His skin was pale, but his eyes were sharp. He looked around. Other pods lined the vault walls. Dozens of them, all still closed. His training came back to him, quick, focused. He grabbed the IV line out of his arm, stood slowly, and touched the wall beside the pod. A touchscreen blinked on. He entered his code without even thinking. LT, Jack Rayner, code accepted status. Active. He read the mission log. The time made no sense. Last entry, year 4582 Galactic Standard Time, sleep time, 1983 years. He stared at the screen. Nearly 2,000 years. His voice cracked as he spoke for the first time. Where is command? No response. He tapped again. Communication error. No global link. The system was isolated, cut off from the rest of Earth, from the orbit, from everything. Jack's heartbeat rose. This wasn't planned. Something had triggered his pod. Early, he looked around again. The others weren't waking, just him. A message appeared on the screen. External wake signal received source. Judicator Moros. He recognized the name. Moros was one of the last AI battle cores designed to hold orbit after the fall. It was supposed to only activate under extreme emergency. Something had gone wrong. Jack opened the vault door. The path outside was rough, collapsed metal, ash on the floor, and signs of long-abandoned tech. As he climbed up through the levels, old lights flickered on for the first time in centuries. At the surface, he found a control room. Dust-covered. Every screen, but one was still working a live video feed from orbit. He saw a small alien ship docked with the Judicator. His eyes narrowed. He had never seen that species before. Then a voice came through the radio, cold and mechanical. "LT Jack Rayner, you are awake. This is I Morris. Status check confirmed. Threat levels increasing." Jack pressed the speaker button. "Morris, report. Why was I awakened?" "Because someone found Earth. Non-human vessel entered orbit. Alien entity aboard this ship. Signal was intercepted. You were activated under Protocol 9. Jack clenched his jaw. "Protocol 9. Enemy observation of Terran space, correct? And something else. The enemy isn't the only one listening. I detected a second signal. Someone wanted this to happen." Jack stared at the monitor. The small alien ship didn't look like a military threat, but still, if someone triggered his awakening, it meant war was near. He looked out the cracked window of the ruined facility. The sky above was red. The clouds moved slow, heavy with dust. The Earth was broken but still standing. Jack whispered, "They didn't finish the job." He walked back down to the vault. He stopped at a pod. Captain Mara Vale's status, stable sleep mode. He stared at her face behind the glass. He remembered her, a commander, a fighter. She had once saved an entire colony during the siege of Eris. He touched the screen. Not yet, not until he knew more. Back on the Judicator, Kaoru watched the monitor nervously. The heartbeat signal had stabilized. Then it spiked. Then it moved. "He's awake," Vera said softly. Kaoru stepped closer to the screen. "What is he doing?" Morris replied, checking systems, observing surroundings. "Waiting for what? For orders or threats?" Kaoru took a breath. "Can I speak to him?" There was a pause. Then the screen changed and Jack appeared. The human stood tall, wearing black cryosuit armor. His hair was cut short, his jaw tight. His eyes stared directly into the camera. "You're not from Earth," Jack said. Kaoru nodded slowly. "No, I'm Kaoru from the Accord Worlds. I study ancient species. I found your signal. I came alone. I'm not a soldier." Jack didn't blink. "How long has it been?" Kaoru answered carefully. "Almost 2,000 years since the fall." Jack looked down for a moment. "So the war's over?" "Yes." "Who won?" Kaoru didn't speak. Jack smiled coldly. "That bad, huh?" Kaoru tried to explain. "No one really won. The old empires collapsed. The Accord was formed to prevent more wars. Most people don't even believe humans ever existed." Jack laughed once, short and sharp. "That sounds about right." He leaned closer to the screen. "So why now? Why are you here?" Kaoru shook his head. "I don't know. I found a signal. Your ship. I was curious." "You came alone?" "Yes." Jack stared at him for a long time. "That makes you either very brave or very stupid." Kaoru smiled nervously. "Probably both." Jack stepped back. "I'm going to need answers. And weapons. And contact with orbit." Kaoru said, "You're not planning to attack, are you?" Jack's face turned hard. "I don't know yet." Suddenly, Morris cut in. "New alert. Multiple long-range scans detected from the outer sectors. Surveillance probes launched. Passive bird watching." Jack's face darkened. "They know I'm awake?" Kaoru asked. "Will they come?" Jack nodded. "They always do." He looked back at the pod vault on his screen. "Maybe it's time we wake the others." Kaoru stepped forward. "Wait, don't you want to talk first? Maybe we can prevent." Jack raised a hand. "No, talking comes after survival." He looked into the camera one last time. "Tell your people. The myths are real. Humanity is awake, and we remember everything." News traveled faster than light. In the deepest corners of the galaxy, in cold star stations and crowded alien cities, the impossible was confirmed. Earth was real, and the humans were awake. The Judicator-class warship, long thought to be a myth, had sent out a pulse. Not a weapon, not yet, but a signal. Ancient, loud, a message in Terran code. The message was short. Protocol 9, active. Human commander awakened, stand by. Only a few species understood the meaning of those words. But every major government in the Accord felt it in their bones. Something old, something violent, had just returned. The Galactic Council called an emergency session. Alien leaders gathered in a shining tower on the neutral moon of Lithas. The chamber echoed with quiet fear. President Eloth of the Javari Hive clicked her mandibles. "The Earth War Corps should not be active. This is a breach of the old treaty." Admiral Thrix of the Malga Collective growled. "You think they care about treaties? They were dead. Now they're not. The galaxy changes now." An old historian stood up, shaking slightly. "This confirms the HFY records. They weren't just stories. They really did survive the final bombardment." "Do we know how many are alive?" asked Chancellor Rukon of the Telnari. "No," replied a council aide. "Only one human has been confirmed. Lieutenant Jack Rayner. But Judicator-class vessels were known to hold full cryo-soldier banks. There could be hundreds. The room fell into silence. A hologram showed the last known image of Jack standing in his armor, staring into the camera from Earth. Chancellor Archon broke the silence. I met a human once. Long ago. They don't bluff. At that moment, in a dark chamber far from the council, another kind of meeting was taking place, quiet, off the record. 6 alien figures sat in a circle. No names. No titles. Only strategy. One of them, a shadowed Trillari warbroker, said, "We cannot allow a human military command to reform. If Jack Rayner wakes the others, we lose control of the rim systems." Another answered, "Then we act before that happens." The table lit up with a map of Earth. Send a containment fleet. Quiet, small, make it look like observation, and if he resists, the Trillari gave a cold smile, then we make sure humanity goes back to sleep forever. Meanwhile, aboard the Judicator, Kailaru watched the red lights blink across the star map. Surveillance probes, stealth drones, listening ships. The whole galaxy was watching Earth now. Moros calculated out loud. 27 independent systems are now tracking this location. 16 possible attack vectors. 14 known anti-terror alliances. Kailaru shook his head. They're all afraid. Moros replied, they should be in the command vault on Earth. Jack Rayner stood before the other cryopods. He had activated low-power systems in 5 of them. He hadn't woken them yet, but he would soon. He watched the old orbital feed. Dozens of unknown ships now lingered on the edge of the system. We're not ready, he said to himself, but the Earth was waking, slowly, as if the ground remembered what it once was. Back in the orbiting warship, Vera spoke for the first time in hours. Kailaru, she said, do you realize what this means? He nodded. We never defeated the humans. We just outlived them, barely. But now they're coming back, Vera whispered. And they're angry. Kailaru leaned closer to the display. Then someone needs to talk to him, before this becomes another extinction war. He sent a message down to Earth. Jack received the ping. It was short and cautious. We don't want war, we want peace. Please respond. Jack read it twice. Then, without emotion, he replied, peace is earned. His hand hovered over the command screen. He selected 4 names. Captain Mara Vale, Sergeant Kuno Drax, Commander Eli Stone, Dr. Lena Miles. He tapped. Wake. The cryochambers hissed and began to glow. Lights across the deep vault blinked for the first time in centuries. Jack stood silently, watching as the air warmed and life returned. Soon he wouldn't be alone in the far reaches of space. Dozens of species held their breath, because the galaxy had remembered something. Too late. Humanity was not a myth. Humanity was a storm. The cold began to fade. Inside the hidden vault deep beneath Earth's surface, 4 cryopods hissed open, filling the air with white mist. Lights flickered as life returned to 4 people who hadn't moved in almost 2,000 years. Jack Rayner stood still, arms crossed, watching. The first to open her eyes was Captain Mara Vale. Her breathing was slow but steady. She blinked twice, then sat up fast, grabbing the edge of the pod. Her voice was rough. Where's the fight? Jack smirked. Easy, you're safe for now. She looked at him, eyes wide. Jack, is this real? He nodded. Very real. You're 2,000 years late to the war. She touched her head, confused. What happened? I'll explain soon. You're not the only one. The next pod opened. Sergeant Kuno Drax, the heavy weapons specialist, a mountain of a man with a metal implant over one eye. He stretched, cracked his neck, and stood tall like waking from a nap. Are we winning? He asked, half joking. Jack replied, not yet. Then came Commander Eli Stone, slim, quiet. He opened his pod with precision, sat up, and scanned the room like a tactician calculating escape routes. The vault's still intact, he said. Good. That means we lost but didn't die. Jack chuckled. Always the optimist. Last was Dr. Lena Miles, the science officer. She looked the most shaken. Waking up from cryo was harder for her. Her hand trembled as she reached for her tablet. Jack helped her sit up. You okay? She nodded slowly. Did it work? Did humanity survive? Jack's face turned serious. No, only us. The room was quiet. Jack led them to the control chamber. The screens showed the truth. Earth broken but standing. The Judicator above, still holding orbit. A small alien ship docked, and around the system, ships. Watching. Waiting. Mara stared at the map. That's a lot of red dots. They know we're awake, Jack said. And they're afraid. Eli frowned. Afraid of what? Jack looked at all of them. Us. He told them everything, what Kailaru said. What the AI confirmed, what he'd seen, how humanity had become a story, how their survival was a secret, how someone sent a signal to wake him up. And now, the galaxy was reacting. Drax shook his head. So we were supposed to stay frozen forever, Jack nodded, unless Earth was in danger. And now? Lena asked. Jack walked to the central terminal. Now we build a plan. He showed them the scans. The vault was still powered. A few old systems still worked. There were 2 drones left in the hangar. Maybe they could repair one. We have a few pieces of tech, a few weapons, no ships, no satellite net. But we have each other, Jack said. Eli said quietly, 5 soldiers versus a galaxy. Jack looked at him. We've done more with less. Mara smiled. I missed this. Drax flexed his arms. I really missed this. Then Jack's face grew serious again. I've made contact with the alien who found us. His name is Kayla Rue. He's a historian, not a soldier. Can we trust him? Lena asked. Jack shrugged. He hasn't tried to kill me yet. That's something. Eli leaned in. If he found us, someone else will too. They already have, Jack said. A stealth probe sent a signal out. The whole galaxy probably knows Earth's location now. Mara clenched her fists. Then they're coming. Back on the Judicator, Kayla watched. The new signals appear. Moros, he said. Are they? Are they building defenses? Yes, the AI replied. Small scale for now, but efficient. Fast. They are experienced. Kayla leaned back in his seat. He wasn't a soldier, but he felt the pressure building. If even 5 humans can make the galaxy nervous, he said, what happens when more of them wake? Moros responded coldly. Then the galaxy will remember what fear really is. At the edge of the system, 6 ships uncloaked, not accord. Not explorers. Mercenaries. Old designs. Heavy weapons. No insignias. Paid killers. The lead ship sent a signal, encrypted. Sharp. Earth is now a security risk. Prepare for orbital action. Jack received the transmission. He stared at the screen. UNMOVING. Mara stepped beside him, while Jack looked at the others. We hold. We don't fire first. Not yet. But if they land? Drax asked. Jack's voice went calm. Then we show them. The humans are home. Space was quiet, but not calm. 6 mercenary ships moved slowly into Earth's orbit, forming a circle above the old planet. Their hulls were black with sharp red lights. No flags, no names, just guns. Inside the Judicator, Kayla watched with fear. The data stream showed clear intent. These ships aren't here to talk, he said. Vira stood behind him. Then why are they waiting? Kayla frowned. Maybe they're giving the humans one last chance. He opened a channel to Earth. Jack Rayner stood in the surface command bunker, watching the incoming ships. The rest of the team stood behind him, armed and alert. The message came through. Kayla's voice sounded rushed. Jack, listen to me. These are not Accord forces. They're hired guns. Someone paid them to erase your signal before it spreads. You need to leave. Jack didn't flinch. There's nowhere to go. Kayla leaned toward the mic. Then let me talk to them. I can buy you time. Jack thought for a moment, then nodded. Do it. On board the mercenary flagship Black Vulture, the captain sat in a dark room full of weapons, monitors, and long-forgotten war trophies. His name was Rosk Toll, ex-soldier, now killer for hire. A signal pinged. Unknown source, he answered. Kayla's face appeared, calm but tense. This is Kayla of the Accord Historical Council. I request diplomatic pause before further action. Rask laughed, a low, cruel sound. Your Accord. This is outside your little council's reach. Kayla didn't blink. Earth has awakened. That changes everything. The humans are fossils, Rask snapped. You want to study them? Do it after we're done. Kayla tried again. They're not a threat. Rask's eyes narrowed. Not yet. He ended the call. On Earth, Jack saw the communication cut off. They're coming, he said. Eli Stone checked the sensors. Dropships powering up. 3 inbound. Mara Vale grabbed her rifle. What's the plan? Jack answered simply. We show them we're not extinct. High above, the dropships entered the atmosphere like silent daggers. Fast, low armored, but they didn't know what Earth used to be. They didn't know about the Skyfall defense grid. Still half-buried, still dangerous. Jack tapped a console in the command bunker. An old screen blinked to life. Static, then green light. Skyfall grid. Partial systems active online. He looked at Eli. How many charges we got? 3 plasma towers still linked, Eli replied, but only 1 shot each. After that, we're dark. Jack nodded. That'll do. He waited. The dropships broke through the clouds, moving fast, targeting the surface vault. Jack gave the order. Fire. From the mountains west of the vault, hidden towers rose from the ground, covered in dust. Rusted but alive. Blue fire lit the sky. The first 2 dropships were vaporized before they even knew they were seen. The third veered off, spinning wildly, crashing into a frozen lake miles away. Silence returned. Inside the Black Vulture, Rosk stood up slowly. What the hell was that? His second-in-command stared at the readouts. Old Earth weapons, still active, Rosk growled. They were supposed to be dead. He turned to his crew, ready the cruiser cannons. Level the surface. No more chances. Jack knew what was coming. They're going to bomb us, he said calmly. Lena Miles, scanning radiation levels, nodded. If they fire from orbit, this bunker won't hold. Then we hit back, Jack said. Mara laughed. With what? Harsh language. Jack smiled. No, we hit back with truth. He opened a secure channel, 1 deep in the old network. A message crafted not as a weapon, but a warning. He sent a single video file. Every Accord, ship, station, and planet that had tracked Earth's signal received it. The video showed Jack Rayner standing in front of the Earth vault. Behind him, the 4 awakened soldiers. No background music. No tricks. Just words. My name is Lieutenant Jack Rayner of the United Terran Defense Command. I speak now, not to threaten, but to remind. You wrote stories about us, myths, warnings. You said we were too dangerous, too violent. Maybe we were, but we also saved worlds. We built peace. We gave everything to stop a war we didn't start. And now, you've sent mercenaries to finish the job. He stepped closer to the camera. We are only 5, but we remember everything. Every tactic, every betrayal, every lost friend. You want to test if the stories were true. He paused. They were. The screen cut out. The Black Vulture crew went silent. Rosk stared at the blank monitor. Then his comm officer said, Sir, we're getting orders, new ones, from the client. Me guess, Rosk muttered. They want us to stand down. Rosk didn't move for a long time. Then he turned to his weapons officer. Charge weapons anyway. I don't take orders from ghosts. Back on Earth, the Judicators, orbit map updated. Kalu's voice came through. Shaken, Jack. It didn't work. They're powering up main weapons. Jack nodded once. Then this is it. Mara checked her rifle. Good, I was getting bored. The lights dimmed. Outside. The sky lit up, but just before the enemy fired, another signal hit the system. Louder, stronger, old Terran code. Everyone froze. The mercenary weapons shut down. The orbit lit up with more ships. But these weren't alien, they were human. The sky above Earth was on fire, but not from war, not yet. A dozen ships had just appeared in orbit. Sleek, black, human-designed. They bore the old Terran markings, UTD United Terran Defense, symbols the galaxy hadn't seen in over 1,000 years. Inside the command bunker, Jack Rayner stared at the screen, speechless. Mara stepped forward. Jack, did you call them? No, he said softly. I didn't even know they existed. On board the orbiting Judicator warship, Kalu was frozen. His AI, Moros, spoke first. 13 unknown vessels. Human architecture, heat signatures match Earth-based plasma engines. High probability, not drones. Then who are they? Kalu asked. Moros replied, survivors. On the Black Vulture, mercenary Captain Rosk Toll cursed under his breath. They just jumped in from deep space. No Accord registry, no warning. One of his officers whispered, Sir, we're being scanned. They've locked targeting systems on us. Rosk gritted his teeth. Back us out. Now, before they turn us into dust. Back on Earth, the team watched as the mercenary ships fled the system. Jack didn't smile. He didn't relax. Drax looked confused. If you didn't call them, then who did? Lena checked the console. They're hailing us. Visual request. Jack nodded. Put it through. The screen blinked, glitched, then cleared. A woman's face appeared. Mid-50s wearing the black armor of the old UTD command. She stared at Jack like he was a ghost. Lieutenant Rayner. Jack stepped closer. Yes, who are you? The woman took a breath. My name is Commander Isla Terran, UTD R-Class, vessel, Vigilant Dawn. We thought we were the last. Jack's voice cracked. So did we. Isla explained everything. 2,000 years ago, as Earth's fall became certain, several ARC ships were launched, deep space vessels carrying soldiers, scientists, and civilians. Their mission, to hide, survive, and return when the galaxy forgot. Most were believed lost. But Vigilant Dawn made it. They had hidden in the edge of the Perseus void, silent, dark, watching. And when Jack's signal activated, they knew that time had come. Down in the command bunker, the team sat together for the first time in hours. No guns, no alerts, just silence and questions. Mara broke it. So, we're not the last humans alive. No, Jack said. But we might still be the first ones to fight. Eli added. The Ark crew must be old, scattered, weak. Lena nodded. They survived. Yes. But have they been preparing like we were? Jack stood. We'll find out. Later, inside the orbiting Vigilant Dawn, Jack stepped off the transport shuttle and looked around. The ship was massive, older than even the Judicator, but well kept. Inside were over 400 survivors, a mix of soldiers, engineers, medics, even children. They stared at Jack with wide eyes. To them, he was a legend, a name in records, a myth from old war stories. Isla walked beside him. We've rebuilt what we could. Weapons, food, AI, support. We even have 2 fighters left. Jack was quiet. She turned to him. You've seen Earth. Can it survive? Jack paused. Maybe. But we won't be allowed to try. Why not? Because the galaxy still remembers what we were, he said. And now they're afraid we'll become it again. Isla looked him in the eye. Will we? Jack didn't answer. Far across the stars, the Accord Council received the signal from Vigilant Dawn. Panic spread fast. They're multiplying, said Admiral Thrix. We can't contain this. President Eloth hissed. This was not part of the treaties. There are humans alive outside Earth. A younger council member spoke, voice shaking. What do we do? Chancellor Archon answered coldly. We prepare for war. Back on Earth, Lena sat alone in the vault's lower chamber. Her tablet glowed in the dark. She was studying old Earth genetics. The data was strange. Mara walked in. What are you? And Lena looked up, running scans, comparing Jack's DNA to our records, and Lena's voice dropped. There's something different. Mara frowned. What kind of different? His markers show macro adaptations, as if he was modified. Modified how? Lena looked scared. Not by us. At that moment, Kalu accessed a restricted file inside Moros, one he hadn't dared open before. Inside was a line of text from 2,000 years ago, buried under deep encryption. Project Echo. Activate only upon planetary breach. Priority Omega subject. Jack Rayner. Kaelu whispered. What were you, Jack? Jack stood at the observation window aboard Vigilant Dawn, staring down at the Earth. The clouds moved slowly. The oceans were still blue. The scars of old war could still be seen, but something was waking. Something ancient. Something human. Jack whispered to himself. They thought we were gone. He closed his eyes. We were just getting started. The stars were moving, but not because of beauty, not because of peace, because war was coming. Across the galaxy, fleets launched from every direction, Accord battleships, Council destroyers, mercenary packs, all headed for one small blue planet, Earth. The Council had made their decision. Humanity must never rise again. On board the Vigilant Dawn, Jack Rayner stared at the incoming data. Invasion force, Eli said. 2 days away, maybe less. Mara checked weapons. We can't fight them head-on, even with the Ark team, Lena added. Unless we activate whatever Project Echo is. Everyone turned to Jack. He didn't speak. He didn't move. He had just learned the truth. Deep beneath Earth's vault, an AI had finally unlocked Project Echo. Not a weapon, not a plan, a person. Jack Rayner was not just a soldier from the past. He was something more. He was engineered, a human prototype modified before the end. Faster reaction time, better memory, adaptive biology, designed not to win battles, but to restart humanity. He was Earth's last protocol. Kaelu watched from orbit, his alien eyes wide. Moros had confirmed it. Jack Rayner was the seed. Project ECHO's goal was simple, one human to survive long enough to trigger rebirth. But why one? Kaelu asked. Moros responded, because one is enough. Jack finally looked at his team. I was meant to wake the world back up, he said. To light the fire again. Drax frowned. But we don't have time to build cities or armies. Jack nodded. No, but we do have time to show them what a human fight looks like. The plan was simple, insane, but simple. Vigilant Dawn would drop to low orbit. Earth's vault systems would launch a signal, not just a message, but a memory burst, a full history archive, the truth of humanity. Its wars, yes, but also its peace, its courage, its sacrifice. The hope was that not everyone in the enemy fleet wanted to erase a species. Some might remember, and if that failed, then Jack had one last command, a buried system no one had touched in 2,000 years. Protocol Judgment. The invasion fleet arrived, hundreds of ships surrounding Earth. The Council flagship sent a final warning. Surrender your leaders. Power down all systems. You will be allowed to exist in observation, Jack answered. We were never made to exist quietly. He sent the full archive across. The stars. Captains paused. Soldiers watched. Machines slowed. They saw not monsters, but humans, laughing, crying, protecting, creating. Don sent one more signal. We are not your enemy, but we will be your last if you force us. Some ships hesitated, but others advanced. Plasma weapons charged. Doc Shack stood inside Earth's control bunker. Hand over a black button. No labels. No lights. Are you sure? Lena asked. Jack closed his eyes. If they choose peace, they'll stop. The sky turned red. Eli whispered. They didn't stop. Jack pressed the button. High above Earth, buried inside its old moon, something woke up. An ancient orbital AI core. Thought dead. It spread power to satellite rings hidden in orbit. Old Terran tech, rebuilt in secret. A system meant to destroy entire fleets in seconds. The Judgment Network. Red lines danced across space. Targets locked one by one. Enemy ships exploded. Precise, silent, terrifying. The ones that survived. They ran. They didn't just retreat. They vanished. Because they had just seen the old stories were true. Humans weren't just dangerous. They were still here. Later, in the ruins of the command vault, the Earth team gathered again. The threat was gone for now, but the galaxy would never forget this day. Kaoru landed on Earth, walking carefully across the cracked surface. He faced Jack. You could have destroyed all of them, Kalu said. Jack nodded. That was never the goal. Kalu smiled slightly. Then what was? Jack looked up at the sky. Blue again, quiet again, to remind them what humanity really was, he said, and what we still could be. 2 weeks later, hundreds of messages arrived. From explorers, rogue captains, forgotten worlds, not threats, invitations, some wanted to learn, others wanted to ally. A few simply said, we thought you were myths. We were wrong. Jack stood alone on a hill outside the old city ruins. Birds flew overhead. Wind touched the grass. Behind him, the Earth team was already planning. Rebuilding. Growing. He closed his eyes. And for the first time in 2,000 years, humanity was no longer a story. It was alive.